Thank you, Abdul Qadir Muhammad. We will have our next guest is Warren Kritz. I'm dead sure, lots of Djiboutian here, they know him only too well. He is international lawyer, and beyond that, he is a counselor for human rights, wherever the place is. waxaana halkan loogu xigi doonaa Warren Kritz oo aad reer Djibouti badooda ay wala garanayaan waana uu ku dhex jira xagga aqoonkiisaanka qolkaasi scientific physics una taasuna nooga hadli doonaa. Warren Kritz, you have the honor to speak next, please.
Merci, Abdelkader. Je suis un avocat qui travaille dans le domaine de la loi de l'immigration et du statut de réfugié depuis 25 ans. Compte tenu de ma profession, j'ai été en mesure de plaider en faveur des réfugiés et de nombreux demandeurs d'asile de Djibouti, ici au Canada. J'ai également utilisé ma position pour prendre un rôle actif en condamnant le gouvernement de Djibouti pour ses abus fréquents et de longue date des droits humains. I am honored to be speaking at the invitation of Abdelkader and his fellow organizers in the presence of Jean-Paul Noël Abdi, président de la Ligue djiboutienne des droits humains. Monsieur Abdi est un homme courageux qui, dans sa poste de président de la Ligue, a combattu sans relâche dès le début de son travail dans ce domaine en 1999 pour améliorer la situation des droits de l'homme et pour amener le gouvernement à se rendre compte. This has not been an easy task for Monsieur Abdi. He has been shadowed, followed, and harassed, tortured even, by his country's own government for defending human rights. In 2006, he was prevented from attending a journalist conference in Uganda. In 2007, he was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to 6 months imprisonment and ordered to pay a fine for criminal libel after he alleged that security forces were complicit in the 1994 murder of 7 people whose remains were uncovered in 2007. According to Human Rights Watch, a very notable and credible organization that reports on human rights abuses in the world, and we use those reports all the time in our refugee hearings here in Canada. According to the Human Rights Watch, his appeal from his conviction has never been heard. In 2009, he was arrested and detained for public insults of judicial authority. Imagine that. A criminal law in the country of Djibouti, a crime, public insults of judicial authority. It doesn't exist here in Canada. Even the notion of limiting free speech against the judiciary is just so foreign to us here in Canada. We can't imagine it. But in Djibouti, it exists. So he was convicted, arrested, detained, convicted of public insults of judicial authority after he criticized the courts for lack of judicial independence. What could be more important in any true democracy than having a completely independent judicial system, as we have here in Canada? We know it doesn't exist in Djibouti, and Mr. Abdi felt the brutal force of that regime for having spoken out against the judiciary for not being independent, and spoken out against the government for not having an independent judiciary. He was jailed as recently as February of this year on allegations of having participated in insurrection movements. And although he was released, and we are very glad that he is here with us today, these baseless charges against him still stand. M. Abdi se bat infatigablement contre l'impunité de la corruption. Il cherchait les principes de justice sociale, la transparence, la liberté et les droits d'égalité. Malgré la difficulté de travailler dans ce domaine, il a réussi à maintenir l'opérabilité de la Ligue. Comme plusieurs parmi vous le savez déjà, la Ligue djiboutienne des droits humains travaille fort pour informer la population de Djibouti et la communauté internationale des actions du gouvernement qui menacent les droits humains. LDDH a été fondue en 1999 par M. Abdi. For security reasons, the organization is forced to work semi-clandestinely, secretly, in fact, to accomplish their goals. The work of the organization is carried out by a core team of volunteers, and these volunteers deserve praise and congratulations for the difficult but incredibly important work that they do. According to the annual Freedom House publication, Freedom in the World 2011, Djibouti's political rights rating has declined from partly free to not free at all. This is largely due, of course, to the constitutional changes that took place in April 2010, which the president forced through a change in the Constitution to allow him to run for a third term in office, which had been unconstitutional, obviously for good reason. Les élections en Djibouti ont connu plusieurs difficultés. Lorsque le président actuel, Ismaël Omar Guelleh, a remporté son deuxième mandat en 2005, le seul autre candidat s'est retiré de l'élection dû au contrôle par le gouvernement des médias et de la répression de l'opposition. Les principaux partis de l'opposition ont refusé de participer aux élections législatives en 2008. Le gouvernement a systématiquement abusé le processus électoral et en manipulant le processus et en arrêtant certains leaders de l'opposition ainsi que par l'interaction des partis de l'opposition. Le gouvernement de Djibouti exige des partis politiques de s'enregistrer auprès du gouvernement et en 2008, le président a dissous le parti de l'opposition, le MRD. The economic situation in Djibouti is undermined by corruption. UNICEF reports that as many as 2 out of 3 children in Djibouti are exposed to life-threatening situations because of poverty. A report commissioned by UNICEF in 2009 found that nearly 70% of all children are deprived of at least one basic right, including the right to water, the right of sanitation, the right to have information, the right of nutrition, the right to education, and the right to health. 70% of the children in Djibouti are suffering at least the repression or non-existence of one of those rights. Freedom of speech is a major issue in Djibouti. Although it is guaranteed in the Constitution, the government routinely and systematically restricts its exercise. The domestic media is almost entirely controlled by the government. The principal newspaper and Radio Télévision Djibouti, which operates the national radio and television station, is government-owned. Strict libel laws prevent or at least threaten journalists, repress journalists from covering sensitive issues, which includes human rights. It's the threat of arrest on these journalists that make their speech not free. This environment means that local human rights groups like the LDDH cannot operate freely. Les tribunaux ne sont pas indépendants du gouvernement. Il y a eu des allégations de poursuites politiquement motivées. Les groupes minorités, y compris les peuples afars qui sont ici avec nous aujourd'hui, souffrant de marginalisation sociale et économique, la discrimination et, en cas nombreux, la persécution. And of course, as a human rights lawyer, as a refugee defender here in Canada, I'm the one that represents many of you who are here today, and many who have come before you, and many to come still in the future. And I learn about your circumstances through the stories each of you have told me, and the stories we plead in the tribunal here in Canada, the Immigration and Refugee Board. The winds of change may be blowing. Il y a une pression régionale qui se développe et cette pression demande que les institutions gouvernementales soient plus responsables et plus transparentes. Il y a une affaire importante dans le Moyen-Orient et l'Afrique du Nord contre l'oppression, contre la discrimination et contre la corruption des gouvernements. Ce mécontentement à l'autoritarisme grandit et se reprend dans la Corne de l'Afrique. Le début de cette année y a vu des manifestations populaires sans précédent dans l'histoire du pays. Ces manifestations ont été organisées pour contester les conditions non transparentes et l'organisation du scrutin présidentiel et les manipulations constitutionnelles d'avril 2010. Mais le gouvernement a répondu à ces contestations avec des actions oppressives, violentes et systématiques. Il y avait des rapports, des arrestations, des détentions et des poursuites arbitraires des manifestants pacifiques et de défenseurs des droits de l'homme. Les élections qui ont permis au président de l'installer par les troisième mandats sont des choses que la communauté internationale a l'obligation et la responsabilité de dénoncer. La communauté internationale doit réagir. On ne peut pas approuver ce déni de démocratique. All of this to say, there is a serious need for reform in non-democratic, authoritarian, oppressive societies, including Djibouti. The venue of this conference here in Canada is a venue allowing people the opportunity to speak freely about oppressive regimes. The values expressed in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms here in Canada, the freedoms of expression, of association, of political opinion, and of equality, are all values that create a spirit of openness. Let us be frank and honest here today. This is a venue where our views can be freely expressed, thanks to the rights enshrined in our Charter. Let us show the world how a free society looks and how it can operate to the benefit of all. But with rights also come obligations. Here in Canada, we have the right to freedom of expression. Let us exercise today our corollary obligation to speak and shed light on the failings of the Djibouti government to protect and defend human rights in its country. We cannot turn a blind eye to these abuses. Many refugees from Djibouti have fled to Canada, seeking the protection of our government. There are thousands here. If I go back in my memory, I started representing the first Djibouti refugee claimants probably in early 1990s, as I recall, and there was a huge flood of you and others that came during that time. As a signatory to the 1951 Refugee Convention, Canada has a crucial role to play in protecting the people of Djibouti. En mars 2009, le Conseil des droits de l'homme des Nations Unies a entrepris un examen périodique de Djibouti. Le rapport du groupe de travail affirme que le Canada a félicité Djibouti pour avoir signé la Convention internationale sur l'élimination de toutes les formes de discrimination raciale. Toutefois, le Canada a recommandé de Djibouti de ratifier la Convention ainsi. Le Canada s'est déclaré concerné par les rapports indiquant des actes de répression contre les gens dans les syndicats et a recommandé que Djibouti respecte les droits des syndicats de s'abstenter des arrestations et de détentions arbitraires, de la violence physique et de harcèlement des représentants syndicaux et d'empêcher les actions syndicales. Le Canada a ainsi recommandé de Djibouti de modifier ses lois sur la liberté de communication, en particulièrement les lois qui stipulaient que les participants de la gestion financière d'un organisme de presse doivent être citoyens de Djibouti. Pourquoi ils doivent être des citoyens de Djibouti? Que le directeur et vice-directeur d'un carrefour des médias doivent être citoyens de Djibouti. Et que exigeant le directeur d'un carrefour audiovisuel doit être âgé d'au moins 40 ans. More needs to be done to help in the fight against human rights abuses in Djibouti and in the region. I remain devoted to this cause. I want all of you to know here tonight. We must work together. Holding this event and others like it in this way to encourages and affects real change. As we heard earlier, it's our obligation to speak and to act. J'espère qu'on peut tous et toutes travailler ensemble pour réaliser un meilleur avenir pour les peuples de Djibouti. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.